we are going to get into our discussion on what we thought of the meta, how our season went. And I'll go ahead and start because there's not really a whole lot for me to talk about. Mainly, I didn't play much this season. I don't know if it's just because I wasn't impressed with the locations. There's also, boy, this makes me sound petty. So I don't want to say it like this, but you know when you don't have enough keys or you don't have enough tokens and you kind of feel left out because everybody else is getting like the new stuff? That hit me. I think that hit me this season. And I was like, man, everybody is getting like, these are some pretty cool cards and I don't want to spend my stuff to get them. Thing is, I got to play in order to get more keys, but so I guess it's a little bit of jealousy and it kind of kept me out. I was like, I don't want to get beat by these new cards because I don't have a shot at getting them right now. But either way, I did play a little bit, mostly towards the end of the season. I started playing. I will tell you. So I got Thena at the beginning and I did love the purchase. I put together that deck that had Shauna in it. It had Kazar, mainly a lot of low-cost stuff that I could get out there that would get boosted up by Kazar. And usually by the time the game ended, I mean, every single lane was full on my side. Pretty good, at least some pretty good wins with that. And when I didn't win, it was fun to watch, like Shauna bring in everybody, and I don't know who the heck I'm going to get. Hey, I won that because she brought in so-and-so. So that was kind of nice. And then after Eternal's arc, that was the spotlighted location or whatever they call a hot location. They started running yesterday, Project Pegasus. I was like, I'm going to build a deck. What was going through my head was the picture that you had shared. The picture that got me going, hey, the blob. And the picture had the blob in it. It had M'Baku in it. It was all about Arishem. But do you remember the other one that was on there that we couldn't figure out why?
I'm trying to think back.
It was Agatha.
Oh, yeah.
So I built a deck with Agatha in it. And when Project Pegasus would hit, boom, she played herself.
Oh, there you go.
So there were times where I got Agatha out turn one. Oh. And then I was off to the races.
Didn't think about that. Nice.
Yeah, I was having a good time because it was Agatha and Arishem hanging out, and I was winning some stuff.
It was Arishem all along.
It was, as a matter of fact. So in that Agatha Arishem deck, I think it was kind of basic. Of course, you don't know what you're going to get with the other 12 cards. You have no idea. But I was
like
putting
a box of chocolates.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to get. I essentially threw cards in there that would get me other cards. I don't know why. I just thought, oh, okay. Hey, I'll get other cards. I definitely had Quinjet in there to bring the cost down. They were talking about Arishem, and somebody put it on Reddit, and I was like, yeah, this is actually probably why a lot of people like Arishem. Playing 2-cost cards on turn one, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Or laying out Sunspot and another card. It's a beautiful thing. Watching Agatha go crazy with extra energy was pretty fun. She's in your Arishem deck. She gets laid out there turn 5 instead of turn 6. So you actually have a 6th turn to kind of play with, even if Project Pegasus isn't out there. So I was winning. I mean, it was fun to watch people like think that they were going to win a lane by laying Scar out there. And nope, I laid out, Agatha, who was about 3 power more than Scar. So she was able to hold her own. But anyway, so that was kind of I did start seeing a lot of Destroy make its way back, and that might be again just based off of the deck that I was playing. I have no idea what the algorithm was looking like, but I can tell you I faced a lot of Destroy, so much so that I put armor in my Arishem deck. And what other stuff was I seeing? I saw a couple high evolutionary decks. But mostly, if I was picking out stuff, it was usually Destroy that I was facing. So how about you? What was last season like for you? Oh, by the way, I didn't get past 75.
Okay. Well, I got past 75. I actually got all the way to Infinite again.
How?
With a deck I did not expect. I thought, man, I meant to keep the name of the player who played it on me. I had been thinking about it before then. But there was one of the weekends where the bonus missions one of them was win so many games with Silver Surfer in your starting deck. And you know me, I love a good Surfer deck. So I did that, and I had thought of this at one point, but I hadn't done it yet. And then a guy beat me with a Silver Surfer Mr. Negative deck.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Which I had thought about it at some point. I don't remember if they were both, if Mr. Negative was one of the mission ones too. They don't always do the newer cards now. They've changed that around. But somehow that thought had entered my mind, and the guy beat me with it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to try that out. So I tried it, and man, I went on a roll.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for it to fall back. Like,
it's going to hit a wall. Right.
Yeah. There was one deck. I keep jumping the gun on unlocks, but I used tokens and finally got your buddy Cannonball.
Okay. All right.
So I had him and Professor X, and I was tweaking that, and the next day they nerfed Professor X.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
I used that deck for a day. And I didn't have near the success that you did. I was still fine-tuning it. I don't even think I had Cannonball 24 hours. But then, so I started messing around with a deck that I called No Vacancy, and then later changed it to the Invaders because, I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do is name deck.
That's the truth.
So it was just throwing cards over there and messing with people, getting Doc Ock to pull people out, and then Shadow King them down or Shang-Chi them, which I'm sure I came up with right after somebody did it to me. The Shang-Chi strategy was one I stole from you a while back. So I was doing that, and I got Cannonball in there, and with Doc Ock and some other stuff, and sending other cards over, I was cutting down on the space they could have. That gave me a better chance of destroying somebody with Cannonball, even without Professor X, since they don't work so well together anymore.
They don't, man. It is almost exact opposite of what you needed Cannonball and Professor X to do. Stop him from moving.
And that was another one of those. I'm looking at people online, and I'm like, that's just good strategy. That's not unfair. But man, people did not like that combo. and you were on it before I heard people complaining about it. Like,
oh, yeah.
That was a couple months ago when you rode that one to Infinite.
It took me to Infinite, right?
Yeah, and but I don't know. I just heard people complaining about it, and I'm like, man, that's just good strategy.
Oh man,
not near as bad as High Evolutionary. Okay,
here he goes. Here he goes. Get ready.
It's not that bad. Yeah, I didn't think that was near the problem some people did. Of course, they point to the statistics a lot, and I just go with what works. So that did for a while. I was having some luck with the Gilgamesh one, and then the one with Gilgamesh, Shuri, Taskmaster, and Red Hulk. And I was having luck with that. I was moving along. I wasn't just rocketing forward, but I wasn't plummeting like I have in seasons past. And I'm like, well, I've got some good stuff. But so I tried out that negative Surfer deck, which I initially called Nega Surfer. And then I'm like, wait a minute. So my Infinite deck this season was Nega Surfer Middle-Aged Snap deck. So, and it doesn't have quite as many 3 costs as usual, but it's got Ironheart and Sage. And then Brood gets cheaper when Mr. Negative hits him. And I've got Ravana and Zabu to make it easier to get Mr. Negative and Wong out there. And then Iron Man and Jane Foster to pull no hammers, but all those 0 costs if it falls right.
Yes, yeah.
And Makari, of course. And I just kept winning with it. And I got to 90, and I'm like, okay, this will hit the wall soon. And I just kept going. And I'm like, I don't know why, but it took me right on through to Infinite.
That's great.
I honestly started trying out some other stuff just because I got a little bored with it. I didn't get tired of winning, but I was just like, let's try something different. I can't explain it. It doesn't look like it should be that good. I know a Mr. Negative deck can be good and a Surfer deck can be good, but once you take Jane Foster out, the highest point value is a 4, and that's Makari. And once you take her out, there are 2 3s, and that's Ravana and Zabu.
Wow. Yeah, well,
and the rest of it just relies on Negative to flip it around, and Surfer to boost it up, and Sage. You can hit Sage on Wong and maybe start her at a 3. But yeah, there's not much there until you start coupling them with other cards.
That's awesome. Well, so you hit Infinite. You go into Infinite. Did things get weird?
Not as weird as last time.
Okay.
I didn't do as well on it. I dropped down to 70,000 pretty quick. But at that point, I'm just,
we've reached our goal. We're going to have a little bit of fun now.
Yeah, that's what I started mixing them up. I like to try new decks and things like that. I think is one of the most fun aspects of it. I read something in some of the developer notes once that they called it like kind of a puzzle that's constantly changing. Just like trying out something a little different.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool.
So I saw Surfer all over the place. Like not only that weekend, I'm like, oh yeah, everybody's trying to get these bonus things, but he did not go away. And I wasn't the only one. And the guy who I cribbed it off of, we weren't the only ones running Surfer and Negative decks.
So you were seeing others.
Until Arishem came along, I was seeing Surfer decks very regularly.
Huh. I might have seen them, a small handful with nothing compared to Destroy. Well, I'm ready to get into unlocks if you are.
I don't think I have too many that I haven't already talked about. I'm just going to go ahead and do the top 5. No, I'm kidding.
Well, real quick before we get into that, I want to give a shout out. I just got a message from Matthew Price. You may have heard of him on some of the other podcasts that we've done with Unspoken Issues. SpeedingBulletComics.com owns a store down there in Norman, Oklahoma. He sent me a message. He said, "Today I had time to kill, so I downloaded the Snap game. I may start to understand some of the podcasts better." So I told him, I said, "I'll give you a shout out. Maybe. We're actually recording right now. Don't listen to us for strategy or anything like that, but you might understand what we're talking about somewhat.
You will get some of the joke."
Yeah. Shout out to you, Matthew. Appreciate you listening. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll get into our unlocks, and I'll go first. I didn't play that much this season. I'm sitting at 11,905 collector level as of today. 2 spotlight keys waiting to be used. Up first, I unlocked the Blob. Then Alberto Del Lago Meek, which was a cool variant. Cersei, which I talked about already. Howard the Duck showed up.
Nice.
Dan Hip Hercules.
Excellent.
Max Grecki Thor, which Max Grecki in his art, sometimes it's crazy looking. Like Thor he likes to do wee tiny little heads and massive bodies. So anyway, Max Grecki. I got a pixel.
He's getting you closer to the 2,000 tokens in that album.
That's true. That's right. Got a Pixel Vision, a Francesco Tomaselli Black Swan, which was the one key that I used to try and get Arishem, and I was like, nope. All right, I'm going to use tokens because I did not get Arishem, Shalmega, Shimagel, Hoffman's Pepper Incorporated. I did not get Arishem.
We're going to do it. Oh, sorry.
Next up was Dan Hip Vision.
Nice.
Dan Hip Agatha, which I liked. I thought he stuck with the old school Agatha. And Senior Scratchy. She's holding Senior Scratchy, by the way, which is great. And I already, since I was playing with her during Project Pegasus, she hoards, she hogs all the boosters. Right. So I took her, I still had 600 boosters sitting there from last time we were using her. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I got a lot of credits. I'm going to go ahead and I ended up taking that to Infinite and ended up getting some tone after going my first Infinite with her, with that Dan Hip Agatha.
I know my friend Luke was playing somebody who had like an ink split Agatha.
Oh my goodness.
There's like so many questions.
I thought about it. I was like, man, if I could get her ink split, it would be so cool. Because it makes people going like, what? So Dan Hip Agatha, Pixel Absorbing Man. I'm pretty sure I unlocked him this go around. I got a sports variant Quicksilver. Can you guess what he's doing on his card?
He's running.
He's running a race.
Some of those sports variants are just too on the nose. I mean, you'd think me, of all people, would have Luke Cage as a cage fighter. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like, well, of course he is a good fighter. I think my favorite is Multiple Man on the Relay Team. That one, there's an extra level to that.
All right.
Yeah, I got that Quicksilver sports variant. I haven't even broken the frame.
Last but not least, Pixel Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I don't think there's a bad Moon Knight card in there.
It's pretty cool looking. But there you go. There's my unlocks for last season. My goodness, Evan, just looking at what you unlocked and your collector level, you are on a roll. What you got going on here?
Probably just means that I don't spend my time as efficiently as you do. I was sick a little this week, so blame that. I'm just over 14,000, and then I'll try to get off of the high evolutionary thing. Like I said, it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. The people disagree with me, but someone said, well, yeah, I could see high evolutionary being a problem if you're like not over a 4,000 collector level. I'm a little bit over that, but yeah, it's okay. I may not be that good at it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So yeah, I got Martyr like you did last time. I know you had a lot of luck with Martyr. No, wait, I had a lot of luck with your Martyr.
Yeah, gosh.
That was it. That was great. Gilgamesh. Got Gilgamesh. I think I already mentioned I got Grandmaster with tokens when I took a shot at Thena. And again, my next 4 proved that some algorithm in Snap likes me. Pixel Rescue, Pixel Groot. I don't think I used gold on the Captain America Dan Hip, but I might have. Pixel Ghost Rider.
Okay.
And then proof that maybe I'm just guessing that an algorithm in Snap likes me because I got Chibi Sarah. I did spend gold on the Jim Lee Magic.
Okay.
And I got the Blade in the season pass. I guess a nod to his vocal cameo in the Eternals movie, which may be the only MCU Blade we see unless they talk Wesley Snipes into coming back for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
I got that Spotlight variant Meek. I think I mentioned that 3 or 4 times already. The David Mack Phoenix Force.
Nice.
Heimdall by Flaviano.
I don't know if I've seen that one. Any idea?
Kind of like Heimdall if Flaviano drew it.
I can see it now in my mind.
Yeah, I'm a writer. I paint pictures with words. It's kind of glowing. Looks like Idris Elba at a rave.
I've had this one. That's why it struck me, because I've seen this one.
I blithered like an idiot for that long trying to describe a card. And
I already had it. I've got this one.
I don't need help sounding like a moron, Jesse. I can do fine on my own. Anyway, 1602 Cloak, who I haven't animated yet, but I remember he was on your list for the best animations. I got a Corey Smith Gamora, where she's dressed like a pirate hooker, but I wouldn't say that to her, given all the sharp implements she's armed with. And Earth 1610 Arnim Zola, that I'll just go ahead and make an honorary chibi.
An honorary chibi.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and getting nauseous. I mean, it's supposed to be horrifying. It's like a mass of flesh with metal sticking out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Just like it would be disgusting if it wasn't also naked. But then Snap made good and gave me a Pixel Miles Morales.
Okay, all right.
I don't think I even knew that was a thing. Got the Ryan Benjamin Gladiator from my Spotlight key before I got Makari.
Okay.
Got a Baby Cyclops.
The Baby Cyclops.
I like mainly because it's got his all-new X-Men costume from when they came forward in time.
Love it.
Did you ever read that one?
I read up to like maybe issue 10 or 12 or so, but I love the premise. This is Hickman?
No, this was Bendis.
Bendis. Okay. Bendis was writing it. Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. I mean, I love the thought of bringing them forward and them having to deal with what happened with the, some of the crazy crap that's going on with the new team.
Yeah.
But my understanding is like I think I got to the point where they were like, okay, we got to try and send you back. Beast is working on trying to figure out a way to send you back. And they're like, well, I don't want to go back because of all the crap that they saw had happened. Some of them were like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, they did a limited series to wrap that up and tie it in with everything. And it was very cool.
Okay.
It kind of brought that to a close. That was right before the short-lived Uncanny X-Men era, right before the Krakoa era. That kind of put the Bendis era to bed, and then had that weird little in-between thing before the Krakoa era started.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you later. We won't make the listeners suffer anymore, but I'll send that to you because you definitely ought to read it, and you might want to do an episode on it sometime because it's time travel shenanigans.
Oh.
Just add that one to the X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine and that Squirrel Girl time travel caper as comics that I don't want to tell you too much about, but that I am sure would receive the Jesse Starcher time travel seal of approval.
Duly noted. All right, so where are we at? Okay. We're at Hazmat?
Hazmat Pixel.
Okay.
Can't argue with the pixels. I got a Gilgamesh season pass. Went ahead and used some gold to get a Art Germ Psylocke. What's the prize in that one? The Art Germ Heroines.
Oh,
you can get a Spotlight key when you get 6 of those. So
the prize is owning some Art Germ cards.
What's that?
I said the prize is owning Art Germ cards.
The Spotlight key is nice too.
Yeah.
I should have gotten the Krakoa Jean Grey in her old Marvel Girl costume, but I hesitated on that. I want a Spotlight key. I don't know, some of these, once you get the 6 variants, I'm like, yeah, I'll take whatever else, but I'm not going to make it a priority to get them because the variant or the emote isn't enough. It's the tokens and the Spotlight key that I'm after.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Kid Cable.
Maybe I haven't seen that. Maybe I'm thinking of Baby Cable.
Yeah, this is the one that was kind of featured in the Krakoa era for a while.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I got Phastos. I think I used some gold on a Venomized Killmonger. I didn't have any in the Venomized, but that's another one. You got to get to 9 to get the Spotlight key, but on the way there, you can get that sweet Venomized Kingpin. Although I'm not sure why I want the Venomized Kingpin because it's not like I'm going to take out the Vacation Kingpin variant. I got a Dan Hip Sarah, which I think puts me 1 away from completing the Staying Hip album.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
I got a Dan Hip Hercules. I had a lot of gold there for a while. Should have saved up for the Ultron or Miss Minutes emote, but I went to try to fill in some albums. Got a Dan Hip Colossus, just a surprise, which is friggin' awesome. And is almost a challenger to knock out the Jim Lee Colossus.
Oh, wow.
That spot, but not quite. And then Arishem.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a lot of cards there. How many new ones would you say you got out of that?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, seven if you count Martyr.
Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.